No, but I think it's a really, really good beer. So I mean, it's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to take a little field trip up there and try it out for sure. I think the name of the beer, is it Edward? Is that what the name of the beer?
That's the Hill Farmstead one. The Alchemist one is Heady Topper,
Heady
which is
Topper.
actually above.
Heady Topper. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Just real quickly.
Sure.
Just so because when people hear IPA,
Mm-hmm.
can you just tell us what it stands for?
India Pale Ale, and basically the history traces itself to the English Empire. Obviously controlled India, so when they shipped the beer, it would spoil to get down there in the beer style they made. So hops are a natural preservative. So what they would do is they would pack hops in the barrels with the beer and ship it down there, and the result of it was hoppier beer because it was acting as a preservative. So. Basically, that's where India.
Kind of early dry hopping.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they were putting like a ton of leaf hops in there, and you know, so that's where it comes from.
Right.
Cool.
Again, as you mentioned, hops are a weed more or less, and were readily available.
Yeah. Well, not in England, but yeah, I mean, eventually they were.
Right. All right. Other things, there's other interesting. Now we've talked about a bunch of ingredients for beers. Now there's also some other interesting stuff that you could theoretically put into your beer. Certain sugars to add some flavor. Also fruit and, dare I say, vegetables, herbs, spices.
Herbs
Now maybe
and
talk
spices.
about that a little bit.
I mean, obviously, fruit, you can put a myriad of different fruits in it, anything you possibly think of. I've had people add tea to beer. I've had people add licorice to beer. You have wood aging or bourbon aging. Spices, are way more common than you would think. I mean, everybody's had Blue Moon or Allagash Belgian White. There's coriander in that, which is a spice. So, I mean, so herbs and spices is common. I mean, it's actually a style in the homebrew guidelines, or herb and spice beer, or vegetable and spice beer.
Let me ask you this on fruit. Now, if you're interested in adding some fruit to your beer, now I know this. I learned this in home brewing. We wanted to put some apricots. A guy and I were brewing some beer. We wanted to make kind of an apricot flavored beer. And the mistake we did is we went out to the store and we bought like dried apricots in the store. Yeah, right, exactly. Now I know. But what happened was there was a lot of chemicals, sodium nitrate, preservatives in the apricots, and we kind of dry hopped. We put it in the fermentation to give it a little flavor, and within maybe a couple days, this just god awful smell started coming from the beer. And it literally had spoiled more or less the beer. There was some sort of odd chemical reaction.
Why'd you go with the drying in the first place?
Yeah, I don't understand that either.
Well, cause, you know why? It's because when I was brewing this, I was out in Colorado, in Christie Butte, Colorado, and with a population of 500 people, and I really did not have access to a lot of ingredients. This is, of course,
you didn't.
and I'm old. This was pre-internet. But I guess my point...
Back in the Stone Age, when all I could get was dried apricots.
That's right. But I guess my point is, what is is just fresh fruit the best way to go? I mean, if you want to add a blueberry flavor, let's say, to your beer.
Like Elm City Brewery makes a peachy Keene. So the taste.
There's a couple different ways you can do it. You can add an extract back to it. That's basically tinctured fruit. They draw it off with alcohol or whatever.
Yeah.
An essence.
Yeah, basic fruit extract. So it's like you would get vanilla extract from a store, except it's fruit based. So that's the easiest way to do it.
Really?
And for a lot of breweries, to use real fruit, you were talking about, for even a place the size of Elm City, you're talking about, hundreds and hundreds of pounds of fruit to get fruit flavors. So certain tanks, the openings aren't big enough to add that massive amount of fruit in there. So, they'll have to use a fruit extract as opposed to real fruit, and that, as a consumer, you would never probably be able to taste the difference. If you are using real fruit, what you have to do is you have to freeze the fruit to break down the cell walls, and then you can add it into secondary, and then you have to rack it off because all the particulate gets in the beer. Imagine fruit dissolving in your beer. So you can add fruit flavor that way. And so if you were going to use real fruit, you'd have to freeze the fruit, fresh fruit, cut it up and freeze it, and then put it in secondary and let it sit for 7 to 10 days, and then go ahead and bottle it.
There you go.
Rack it over and bottle it.
So that's how you do it. Now herbs and spices are a little different, just because they're those you could just directly add at some point.
Yeah, you usually will add some of those during the boil. Like if you look at coriander and a Belgian white, when you add the dried bittered orange peel, the last few minutes of the hot boil, so the hot boil is over a 60-minute time period, the last 5 minutes of that 60 minutes you drop in your bittered orange peel and your coriander. You can always add it as a dry hop additive, for anything, but there are certain things that you can add in the boil without it giving you negative effects. A lot of people say that adding fruit in the end of the, in the boil gives off flavors, but you can do the spices that way if you want to.
All right, and now what about, now I had read, I was reading, brushing up on my home brewing, Joy of Home Brewing, and there was even talk of vegetables and, as an example, like jalapenos. Do you have any beers down at Brewtopia that have
a burn to it?
Yes. We had one with chipotles, and then we've had one with habaneros before. We had one with the Kille chilies. The thing with beers like that is you can always add more, but you can never take it away. So it's kind of like a balancing act. I mean, the chipotle one gives off more of like a smoky flavor versus, there are certain ones that are really, really hot. Founders did one called Mango Magnifico that had ghost peppers in it, and that had a pretty distinctive burn to it.
Wow.
Interesting. All right. Well, we're running short, so I wanted just a few other quick topics here to get onto, and let's go. All right. So you've made your beer. You got it all ready. You put it in your fermenter. It sat there for a little while. Now you got to bottle it. Now there's a lot of different ways to do that. Now you can either use bottles. You can use kind of the Grolsch style with the caps on. There's also the kegs. You can put it right into kegs. So give us just a quick kind of synopsis. What do you think, or what's the best way to do that?
There is no best way.
No.
Those three ways are all perfectly fine. The way my philosophy on making beer at home is, it's your beer. You do with it as you like. You know what I mean? As long as you're being clean, not a big deal. Your equipment always comes with a capper anyway, so you can reuse any of your pop top bottles, like Sam Adams bottles or whatever, a Sierra Nevada, whatever it might be. And the Grolsch bottles, a lot of people like those because they like the way they look and they like the swing top, and you don't have to cap it. And then if you have a kegging system, that's definitely the easiest because you just pour it in and force carbonate it. I mean, none of those ways is wrong. They're all fine, and they're, once it's bottled, it just needs to carbonate and you're good to go. I mean, the beauty of beginner homebrewing is it will guaranteed turn out better than you think it will, and I can say that it's a lot of fun with low risk. I mean, you're going to turn out a beer that's better than you think. I can promise that.
Now, are you brewing?
Yeah.
And now also
not as much as I would like.
With the time. Now, quickly, how many different kinds of beers can folks go to your store and get to homebrew? You have just about every kind, right?
I mean, for recipes in the computer currently, we have 265 different recipes, and then we have a reference library of at least 50 books that we can pull recipes out of. I mean, and then you also have a crazy amount of recipes that people can find online from different brewing forums and stuff. So the possibilities are fairly endless.
And also too, you sell a lot of equipment also too. So and you sell kits, but you also sell specific pieces of equipment too. So if somebody needs a fermenter or something like that, they can get that from you.
Yeah, we sell a full line of equipment. I mean, anywhere from simple glass carboy all the way up to we have like a Blickman top tier, which is like a $2,000 brewing system in the store. I mean, whatever level you want to get started at, we can definitely hook you up, no problem.
And do you have a website that people can go to get some more information?
Yeah, it's brewtopianh.com, and then we also do social media. So we have Facebook and a Twitter that I don't use as much as I should, but we update the website a couple times a week, and we update Facebook every day. So.
Do you guys do tastings?
Yeah, our next one is on our anniversary, which should be the 2nd of May.
Great.
And what kind of beer are you going to have at the tasting?
We're going to have a bunch of different beer. We're going to have 3 different companies, and we're probably going to have 16 different beers to try, so it's going to be a lot. We're going to have Firestone Walker there. We're going to have Firestone Walker, Clown Shoes and Uenta, I believe.
Okay, great. That
That's
sounds
great.
good. And are you involved at all in the Keene Beer Festival coming up?
Yeah, they've said that they want me to go and have a table or booth there. I've been told, but I'm not really sure yet. I'll be there either way.
All right, very good. Well,
Thank you very much, man.
Thanks for coming in, Zack Cooper
you
from
for having me.
Brewtopia on Washington Street in Keene. If you need any kind of beer, whatever kind of beer you like, you go there and they will help you out and find some great beer for you. Also, too, if you're interested in starting to homebrew, they also have all the equipment and the ingredients that you need. Go in, talk to Zack. He will help you out and set you up so you can be on your way to brewing some delicious beer.